And so it's just this whole back and round and heavy and like, you know?
It's way above our pay grade, but I agree with you, at least theoretically.
Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year podcast, brought to you by two Brits and a Bible. If you like the idea of a casual yet meaningful chat about the Bible with a couple of mates, listen in. Something in here could be good for you today.
Today is 153, covering Job 5, 6, and 7. If you need a brief overview of those chapters, they are in the description.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to bring your attention to an error that has been made in the Two Brits and a Bible podcast. For the last 3 days, it would appear my counterpart, Mr. Bevan, has been saying the wrong day. Action has been taken and consequences made. I now leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Peters and also Adam Bevan. Thank you and good night.
I felt Barack Obama vibes on that one, even though it wasn't necessarily specifically him.
That was my motivation for it. I had a buddy who could do a fantastic Barack Obama impression, but I don't do American impressions. That is the first time. I was doing it on the way to church this morning. I just chat random crap in the car by myself. I was like, I reckon I can do this one. And I've not done that ever. I've never, Melody's never heard me try an American accent. I sort of vowed never to do it because I don't want to end up sounding American, because I pick up accents quick. I don't want to end up just sounding American. I had a buddy of mine, his cousin lived in America for like 3 years, and he came back and he sounded American. It was hideous. So I don't want to try it because I don't want to end up sounding too North American. But
just going to quickly shout out to our North American brothers and sisters and say, just because we don't want the accent doesn't mean that we don't appreciate it. Just we're quite happy with our British accents. And
I did wonder, because we've had a few downloads and listens in Ireland, whether it's just people in Ireland being like, mate, listen to this knobhead trying to sound Irish, because that's been my most common one.
Yeah, it has. But yeah, no, you do pick up accents easily. I know for a fact I'm never going to sound American no matter how long I live here. At most, instead of saying water, I'll say water. That's about as much as...
That's the easy one to slip into, quarter and water and stuff like that. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah. No, I do it when I have to survive, but that's it. Anyway, so we're both going to bring something over from yesterday. We had quite a lot that we didn't manage to really get through because we were introducing Job, we were going into the theology of Job, we were going into the theology of Satan. But anyway, both of us had something from Job 4. Mm-hmm. So I just thought, so Eliphaz, I forget the name of the town where he was from off the top of my head. I want to say it was a Temanite or something like that.
Exactly.
Sweet. That was known as a center of knowledge at this time. So there is a weight behind the words that Eliphaz says. Mm-hmm. He would have been considered a very learned man from a very learned place. But he says here, can a mortal be more righteous than God? 4:17. Now, clearly the answer to that is no. Of course, a mortal can't be more righteous than God. Nothing can be more righteous than God. But Eliphaz is using subtext here, right? And he's basically trying to subtly say to Job, look, Job, we all sin. There's no shame in admitting that there must be some sin that has created this you befalling like this, basically. Mm-hmm. And I just think that that's really important to understand, that Eliphaz on some level probably does have that right, even though in this instance there's, as Adam said yesterday, not a direct correlation between something Job did and suffering. But God doesn't work like that anyway, as we said. It's not like that's not right, because otherwise every paedophile and murderer and terrible person would immediately be gone, right? So it's not like that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I like that point, mate. That is dead interesting. The thing that I got out of this, and this is where this book of Job becomes so deep, because it's Eliphaz sort of saying, think of how many people you've strengthened with feeble hands, how many people you've supported when they've stumbled. So now it strikes you, why now it has stricken you, why are you dismayed? And the thing that I got out of that is this toxic positivity. It's something which Melody's read into a little bit of actually, again, when somebody's in their down time or whatever's going on, there is such toxic positivity of it's going to be fine, just suck it up, you're going to be great, don't worry about it. Actually, sometimes you need to come down to somebody's level. I remember a fantastic preach, I think it was on a special weekend at Movement or something to do with God and the story of the woman at the well, which I'll come into when we do that. But Yeah. And the thing in this whole section then is because it's people giving Job seemingly quite bad advice, but it's in the Bible, but it's bad advice being given to somebody else. They're like, can we take direct quotes from here and apply that to our lives if it's actually been bad advice that was given to somebody else? Oh man, there's so much in there. And even the whole thing about could he have been sinless? Like, I guess no, because he was under the old covenant. Some people, I know Melody's parents believe, and I don't know where I stand in it really, that we can live a sinless life because we have Jesus and Holy Spirit in us, and we're called to do greater and better things than he did. Therefore, if we're called to do that, we can live a sinless life. But it's a fallen world, but we don't live under that covenant and that authority in where we live. And so it's just this whole back and round and heavy and like,
it's way above our pay grade. But I agree with you, at least theoretically, we can be refined to the point that we are sinless like Jesus, but obviously it takes a heck of a long time. Like but yeah, I guess theoretically that's true for sure. And I can see why people might think that. That toxic positivity you talk about does bleed into Job 5 as well. So Job 5:17, happy is the man whom God corrects, therefore do not despise the chastening of the Almighty.
Yep.
So, again, it's this toxic positivity, like enjoy your suffering. It depends on the message though, right? Because that also reminds me of the book of James, which has a lot of profound wisdom in it, obviously, where James says, like, do think of your suffering often as a blessing. A lot of suffering is. But I don't think Job can really see the blessing in this or the disciplining in this. He's like, yeah, but I don't know what I did. And I'm praying to God constantly to either forgive me or to take this away from me,
Yeah.
And so that's where it gets tough, I think, because there's stuff where God disciplines us in our lives, right? Because there's a clear thing we're doing. And that's not the same as punishing us.
Yeah.
And usually we are convicted of our sins, whereas he's literally sat with boils all over his body in a dumpster, like, just what did I do, right? That's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
Yeah. Because even like the Beatitudes has blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. I just Googled that quickly because I couldn't remember exactly the translation. So yeah, so much along those lines. It's interesting because I remember when we did this on the Bible in 1 year last year, this sort of jumped out to me where I thought some of the advice being given by Job's friends was good, but Nicky Gumble was actually, no, what he's saying there wasn't good. And it just, moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to think about how Jesus was as well. Like, Jesus rarely was like, oh, suck it up, buttercup. He normally did get down to that person's level and tried to empathize. And, that was one of the reasons the Pharisees and the Sadducees just couldn't understand him, because there's like, why are you hanging out with these prostitutes and tax collectors? Like, I'm here.
Exactly, man.
The doctor doesn't need, it's the sick that need the doctor. I love that bit.
Yes.
Anyway, imagine feeling this way as well. 6:4, Job 6:4, the arrows of the Almighty are within me. Job never curses God, but he does explain how bad he feels in this situation, confused, because he's literally saying he feels like God is attacking him and cursing him directly, right? Imagine how awful that would feel to be put in that position, like, just terrible. And I don't know if all of us could say that we wouldn't curse God in those moments. I obviously hope not, but it's very difficult.
Yeah, very true.
Very difficult.
Very true. The next thing that I took out was actually in 7, so you might need to jump back a bit in a second, but a couple of things.
Yes.
One with them was 7:7, Job 7:7 this time. Remember, oh God, that my life is but a breath. And it reminded me of an Andy Stanley talk where actually he breaks down the overall time frame of eternity against the, let's say, 75 to 85 years that we live. When you do the maths on it, that is mathematically 0%, because it's 0.0000 whatever. The amount of time we're alive versus the amount of time we're either in heaven or hell is literally 0%. So our life is but a breath and it's gone. So yeah, just the visualization of that. And then just the final thing, we might need to extend this one a little or speed it up, we'll see, is 7:11. I will speak out of the anguish in my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Like, such honesty, like, fair play, Job. You're so hacked off, but you're speaking honestly. So good on you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say, I've kind of touched on already though, really, is when Job says back to Eliphaz, concede, my righteousness still stands. So even though Job's receiving all this, he just wants a kind word from his friends. He doesn't get that. but he does want to show that the judgment he's receiving doesn't seem to be from any hidden sin, which is what his friends believe is the case. So that's tough.
Cool. Right, tomorrow's reading is Job 8, 9, and 10. So why don't you pick a Bible, start reading?
In the meantime, please consider joining us on social media at 2 Brits and a Bible and sharing this with someone to help spread the word of God.